The story of Daniel does not begin in the lion's den. It begins decades earlier, in the holy city of Jerusalem. The people of Judah had been conquered by the mighty armies of Babylon. The city was plundered, the temple desecrated, and countless captives were carried away into exile. Among them was a young man named Daniel. Imagine being a teenager, torn away from your family, your culture, your homeland, and forced to live in a foreign land under the rule of an empire that mocked your God. Many would have given up. Many would have surrendered their faith. But Daniel did not. Even in exile, far from everything he knew, he remained faithful to the God of Israel. In Babylon, Daniel was given a new name, Belteshazzar, and trained in the knowledge and customs of the Chaldeans. He was offered the king's rich food and wine, luxuries that would have been tempting to anyone in his situation. But Daniel resolved not to defile himself. He requested only vegetables and water, risking punishment or even death. Yet God honored his faith. Daniel and his friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, were healthier and wiser than all the others. From the very beginning, Daniel proved one thing: his loyalty to God was greater than his fear of men. Over time, Daniel rose to prominence in the Babylonian court. God gave him the gift of interpreting dreams and visions. It was Daniel who revealed and explained Nebuchadnezzar's famous dream of the great statue, gold, silver, bronze, iron, and clay, representing the empires that would rise and fall. Daniel also lived to see Nebuchadnezzar humbled, driven to madness until he acknowledged the sovereignty of the God of heaven. He witnessed the terrifying feast of King Belshazzar, when a mysterious hand wrote on the wall, Mae. That very night, Babylon fell to the Medes and Persians. Through all these years, Daniel remained a faithful servant of God. He was not just an administrator in the empire. He was a prophet chosen to reveal God's purposes and to stand as a witness in a world filled with idolatry and corruption. After Babylon's fall, the empire came under the control of the Medes and Persians. King Darius was appointed as ruler, and he reorganized the vast territory. He set 120 governors over the provinces, with 3 administrators placed above them. Daniel was one of these 3, but Daniel excelled so greatly that Darius considered making him the highest official in the kingdom, second only to the king himself. That decision stirred fierce jealousy. The other administrators and governors despised the idea of a foreign exile ruling over them. They searched for grounds to accuse Daniel. They examined his record, his leadership, his finances, his conduct, but they found nothing. Daniel was faithful, trustworthy, and incorruptible, so they devised a cunning plan. If they could not attack him through politics, they would attack him through his faith. The conspirators went to the king with flattery. "O King Darius, live forever. We, your officials, have agreed that you should issue a decree. For 30 days, no one may pray to any god or man except you, O king. Whoever disobeys shall be thrown into the lion's den." The proposal appealed to the king's pride. To be worshipped as a god for 30 days sounded glorious. Without realizing the trap, Darius signed the law, and under the laws of the Medes and Persians, no decree could ever be revoked. Daniel knew about the law. He understood what it meant, but he refused to compromise. 3 times a day, as he had always done, he opened his windows toward Jerusalem, knelt down, and prayed to God. For him, it was better to face lions than to lose communion with his Lord. The conspirators were ready. They caught Daniel in prayer and rushed to the king with their accusation. Darius was devastated. He valued Daniel, respected him, and realized too late that he had been deceived. All day, he tried to find a loophole to save Daniel, but there was none. The law could not be changed. At last, with a heavy heart, the king gave the order. Daniel must be thrown into the den of lions. Picture the scene. A great stone rolled over the entrance of the den, sealed with the king's signet. Daniel left in the darkness, surrounded by hungry lions. The smell of the beasts, the echo of their growls, their glowing eyes in the night. To any human, this was certain death. But Daniel was not alone. The God he served sent his angel, who shut the mouths of the lions. That terrifying den became a sanctuary of peace. Meanwhile, back in the palace, the king could not sleep. He refused food, entertainment, and music. The most powerful man in the empire spent the night restless, powerless to save his friend. At the break of dawn, Darius hurried to the den. With trembling voice, he called out, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue you from the lions?" And then came the incredible reply, echoing from the darkness, "O King, live forever. My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not harmed me, because I was found innocent in his sight, and also before you, O King. I have done no wrong." Overjoyed, the king ordered Daniel to be lifted out. No wound was found on him, because he had trusted in his God. But justice was swift. The men who had plotted against Daniel, along with their families, were thrown into the den, and before they reached the floor, the lions overpowered them. Then King Darius issued a proclamation to all peoples, nations, and languages. "I issue a decree that in every part of my kingdom people must fear and reverence the God of Daniel, for he is the living God and he endures forever. His kingdom will never be destroyed, and his dominion will never end. He rescues and he saves. He performs signs and wonders in the heavens and on the earth. He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lions." The human decree had condemned Daniel, but the decree of the Almighty God exalted him and proclaimed his glory across the empire. The story of Daniel is not just about lions. It is about faith, integrity, and courage. Integrity unshaken. Daniel lived in a corrupt system but remained blameless. His enemies could find no fault in him. Faith under pressure. Daniel could have prayed in secret, hiding his devotion, but he chose bold obedience, even at the risk of death. God's sovereignty. When all human power failed, God's power prevailed. The lion's den became a stage for his glory. Influence of faith. Daniel's courage led even a pagan king to acknowledge the God of Israel. Most of us will never face literal lions, but we all face our own dens. Anxiety that roars in the silence of night. Injustice at work or in society. Peer pressure that tempts us to compromise. Financial struggles, illness, loneliness, or fear. Like Daniel, we often feel surrounded, trapped, without escape. But the message is clear. The same God who shut the lions' mouths is with us today. Daniel's story teaches us that faith is not convenient. True faith is costly. When the world pressures you to conform, keep your window open toward God. When threats seem greater than your strength, remember that God can send his angels to guard you. When there appears to be no way out, trust that the Lord can turn the den into a testimony of his power. The lion's den was not Daniel's end. It was the platform of his greatest testimony. The same may be true for you. What feels like the end today may become the beginning of your miracle. The trial you face could be the very story that changes someone else's life. Never forget, the God of Daniel is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Stay faithful, trust him, and you will see that even in the darkest den, his angels stand by your side.